The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church, here with our weekly podcast or broadcast leading into Patreon. I would like to thank all of my brothers and sisters, my loyal Patreonies, for your patience. I thank Elder Rawchaa, Elder Lawya, and others for covering me at the time, covering for me for the last couple of weeks, and I'm glad to be back. Okay, I do have a very important broadcast on Patreon today. Very informative, with spiritual understanding and also with the biblical insight for healing is what I want to talk about on the other side through Patreon. I'm not going to be here long at all, okay? I'm going to just segue over, but let me get into what we're going to talk about. Let me get into it. The Bible states that we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers, and the workers of evil in high places, folks. And I wanted to go there because usually this time of year, something happens to the population of the earth. They go into a trance. And usually the trance or the hypnosis continues all the way up until in New York, the ball drops on Times Square. And that's when people usually wake up. We just see what's going on right now in the earth. And let me tell you, they're feeding spiritually off of the time of year when we should all come together. And that in of itself isn't wrong. When I say it isn't wrong, it's in our nature as people to socialize amongst those we care about. It's in our nature. But what Satan did, the God of this world, he took the same time periods of the year that we were to pay homage to God and set up holy days or holidays for himself to steal the energy, stating that he would be like God. So instead of the Feast of Dedications, which we're really in the midst of right now, they've given us Thanksgiving. See? So that he can steal that energy that happens this time of year when families came together, especially Hebrew families, in respect of the Most High dedicating the temple. On and on and on. Every holiday we see, it's in close proximity to one of God's holy days written of in scriptures. Now, I'm not going to beat that dead horse because I've spoken on that ad nauseum. What I want to talk about is the fact that those that are not under the spell, and usually even those that are under the spell, usually this time of year go through serious depression, especially for women. It's a time of depression like none other. During this time of year, usually it's cold outside. All the functions are really dried up and there's no sun outside. And now you have to sit back with no distractions. And hence the reason why most people would just like to celebrate as a form of just distracting them from the depression. Now, what I'm going into today is very deep. Over on Patreon. Because the Bible states that we are to protect our temple. Our temple. The Most High resides in us. We're the temple of God. And during this week, we're dedicating our temple to the Almighty, as the temple was dedicated back to him during the time of the Maccabean period, where the Gentiles sought to defile the temple. But folks, I'm going to show y'all something today that you probably didn't understand, that they found a way through RX to have us defile our temple without knowing. And it leads to the depression. It leads to the sicknesses. And it's all written of in the scriptures, the devices Satan would use to take over our temple. I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you the origin of the spirits they would utilize against us. And also, I'm going to give you how they begin to initiate demon possession in our society, so that these demons, led by the dark forces, could reside in our temples. And folks, it came in through a way people would be totally surprised at the way they did this. It was diabolically genius how they have done this. And I'm going to talk about it today. And I'm going to show you where I'm going. When it talks about cleaning the temple, I'll get there in a moment. It tells us in a lot of these articles, there's a such thing as the holiday blues. Feeling sad amid festivities? For some, the winter holidays come with an unwanted gift. And that gift, folks, is what they call the holiday blues. The most common symptom of holiday depression is a persistent or reoccurring feeling of sadness, especially for those who don't have family, single people. And this will affect women more so than men. Hence the reason women really rally around this time of the season. Okay, they do, because it gives them a sense of belonging, to nurture their families, to bring people together, and they will fight against all odds if anyone try to take that away from them. And the reason why is because it's a lonely existence without actually dealing with the holy days this time of year. And that's why there's so much pushback when we come to the truth and we seek to introduce the truth of God's law to our people. They'll fight against it because why? They understand if they don't have the holidays, then there's nothing in its place that will actually distract them from the life we currently, the life that currently exists, what we've been trying to distract ourselves from, the regret of the past, family breaking up, our loved ones we've lost. All of these thoughts come in this time of the year. And sometimes you may, I've seen it even growing up. You will walk in the kitchen or whatever the case might be. And I've seen it amongst some of my family, my grandmother and all that, where you'll walk in the kitchen and they're busting out crying for no reason. You're like, are you okay? They're like, no, I'm okay, baby. Depression. So they've given us holidays as a form of healing, because there is a healing that comes with people coming together. There is. But what's wrong, instead of the Feast of Dedication, Satan have taken all of that spirit through replacing holy days in the Bible with holidays. The same as Christmas, on and on and on. Easter, they're all the same. It's stealing the energy that we should be more so given towards our God in thanks. Now, going into this real quick, because I'm going to handle this or talk about this in a way that no one have discussed. We're going to tie in the modern day RX, modern medicine, with the depression and all that. Right? We're going to now, of course, I'm limited with exactly what I can say on this platform. But we're going to tie two and two together because there is a resolve, right? So, but what am I going to talk about today? What I'm going to talk about today is what science have knew for a long time. Jinn, which is demons, and its connection with mental health. What if scientists can come up with a way to administer demons into people, children, at an early age? And what effects does that have for us as we grow amongst our community, not realizing what lies dormant? Now, this happened once before in history, and I'm going to talk about this, how scientists work behind the scenes to administer spirits. Now, these spirits battle with the spirit that the Most High have given us, which is in the temple of our bodies, our brain. It battles against our neural senses. Our minds is an antenna connected directly to the throne, and they know it. So somehow they was able to administer. I'm going to break this down. Something to disturb the signal. But when we fight against that, when we understand that something else is operating contrary to us, automatically it drives us mad. To those who are examining us from the outside, they think these people are crazy. But the people are fighting for their normal existence against something that entered. I'm going to talk about this because the depression, all of that, what I've just discussed prior, it's all connected. It's all connected. Now, I'm going to go into the scriptures and all that, and we're going to talk about that. Jinn and mental illness. Jinns are spirits. We're going to also talk about wrongful allegations. It's a book. Now, I'm not going to go into this more so, but folks, once you understand what's in here, and I'm being very short intentionally while showing this, it brings total resolve, not just to holidays and depression. It also brings into light why there's P. Diddy's, these parties. There was parties before him, and there'll be parties after him. And why children are so important within a lot of these particular ritualistic settings. Because, folks, what happens is children are messed up at an early age, and then they're pushed back out in society as norm with the powers that shouldn't be, knowing that they will disturb the existence of any community they're dropped down in if they aren't healed. If they aren't healed. Systematic chaos through RX is what I'm going to talk about. Also, we're going to look at the National Library of Medicine. We're going to go into this, how some of these things out there that we think we were told was there to help us was really compromising and changing as an attack our minds, our brains. See, after World War II, there was a project that you can look up called Project Paperclip, where a lot of the German scientists came into the United States. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't understand what that was all about and how that would change modern medicine, right, altogether. And I'm being very guarded here on YouTube. Well, they had this fascination with understanding the brain. Now, we thought the understanding was to help to progress health, and to help us progress towards a more healthier life in the earth, right? A better quality of life for those, since medicine would advance after Project Paperclip. Well, something else happened. Let me put it that way. I'm going to talk about that on the other side. That's the most that I can say right now. That's the most I can say right now, okay? But to tie it in, for a lot of you brothers and sisters who may not be on Patreon, let me just put this scripture out there for you real quick. Because I know I'm speaking in vague terms, but there's certain things I can't say on here because they would never have us connect the dots for you here. Okay? They would never have, and it's intentional. There's certain things you can't talk about on this platform without them taking it down. And that lets you know those particular scenarios or those particular topics that they try to have us avoid, it's their skeleton key for control. It's their skeleton key for control. So if you know and can avoid certain things, they lose their power over your brain. It's about your temple. It's all about your temple, folks. So when it comes to what they would call mental disorders and all these other things, folks, wait till you're on the other side with Patreon. And I'm going to I will open up Zoom almost immediately to talk with some of you. Now, just for the remedy side of things, according to the scriptures, now let me move that out of the way. I'm going to talk about that a little later. I'm going to move that out of the way. Hold on. Just from the biblical perspective of being able to overcome and gain your senses in order to fight with what they administered in you that actually affects your brain. In 2 Peter 1 and 3, there's a resolve to know yourself. According as his divine power have given us all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that have called us to glory and virtue. Wherefore are given unto us exceeding great precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature. And this is what they are attacking, folks. There's something in people inherently that's good. And they know this. It's a divine nature. There's no such thing as a child being born wicked or evil. Sin is a learned behavior, and they know it. So the attack is against our divine nature. Now, let me tell you, if you have full power of that nature, there is no depression. There is no regret. There is no feeling sad in comparison to everyone's life, thinking that, okay, my life should have been this or my life should have been that, because you're able to resolve your current existence and what? You're content with it. You're content. Having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Now, here's the key. To overcome initially, now there's a physical healing, but it must be a what? A reckoning. There must be a recognizing of the entry of any spirit that's adverse or contrary to us. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance. Now, why is temperance so important? When the spirit that entered a person is recognized, they're triggered. When someone is triggered, that's actually recognizing something else in them that's contrary to the nature. So they have, through abuse and all of this, folks, demons and people have put up protection barriers, have placed protection barriers in people. And when the spirit is recognized, it's a trigger and they go off. And when they go off or stop the conversation from happening, what happens? We begin to talk about something else, and now the demon can go back dormant. See how it works? So when people are pointing out something that's against the nature of Christ in a person, and they began to come back knowing they're wrong, you're not dealing with that person. It's a defense mechanism. It's a trigger. Into knowledge, temperance. So again, I can't go into it all over here, but I'll talk about it on Patreon. So how do one overcome when they're triggered? They don't respond in the like. And see, you may see this about people who recognize something ain't right in them, but you can see in their eyes when you say certain things and they're looking around and all of this, they're holding themselves because they know it's the spirit in them. They've learned how to live with the spirit through coping, through masking. They'll go to their psychologist, their psychiatrist, and they'll get certain stuff. But guess what? It's only a cope. But the spirit still remains. Temperance, and through temperance, patience, and patience, godliness. See, all of these attributes is your initial fight against what was placed in us. Willingly and or unwillingly, something was administered. So I'm going to talk about that on the other side. Right? I'm going to talk about that because unless there's true contentment with who we are and how the Most High made us, even if we decide not to follow these holy days and just use a lot of our holy days, our holy days, it helps that we have not tabernacles, that we have dedication instead of Thanksgiving. It helps us because we have something in its place. But what if we had nothing at all? Would we still be content? See? I need y'all to think about the faith of Abraham. The faith of Abraham was shown before the law was given to Moses. See, there was no feast of dedications. That time hadn't arrived as of yet. Okay, there was no Passover feast. That time hadn't arrived as of yet. But without any of that, even though the Egyptians and others were dealing with all these satanic holidays that we see today, it was named something else. There was true contentment in Abraham. There was true contentment, a peace to a degree that the Most High seen something in this man. That same man that he would actually bring his son through. It was the divine nature. And I'm going to show you on the other side how Satanists, scientists worked in the background to administer these things and what we need to do going forward to make sure that our children don't have to suffer through the trauma we have gone through. To make sure that our children become the kingdom people that the Most High intended from the beginning. And it cannot happen without our protection. Hence the reason why they've worked to separate family. I'll see you over on Patreon. Patreon.com/agathering144 to talk about this. Now, before I go, just let me give you a quick reminder that, yes, we are going into week 4 of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, in which we'll be diving into who is Edom, and we're going to also tie in to who's Edom, them going out into space, setting their nest amongst the stars. Esau's true plan aligned with the Canaanite god he served, Yahweh, which is Satan. The Most High name is Ahiah. Ahiah is the Most High's name. Yahweh is the Canaanite god, and they have lied to the world through the satanic tetragrammaton. Yahweh is Jovi. Jovi is Zeus and or Jupiter. Okay. Thought I would tell y'all that real quick. And y'all come on through. Come on through. Let me put this out there real quick. Go to Patreon / go to historytimes.org to enroll. Right? Hold on. All right, let me show you something real quick.
Jovi.
Hold on. Let me go English. Hold on. Let me show you. Latin. We're Latin at. I did it years ago if they haven't changed it already. L, where it is. Of course, they be trying to take down a lot of my stuff now.
Yeve.
Hold on. English. 1 second. If I can. They've taken down a lot of my videos that have exposed this wickedness they've been dealing with for years, right?
Joe.
Hold on. Well, I have to do it on the other side because I'm late, but I can show you all this at another time. I'm late. I'm going over to Patreon. Patreon /A Gathering 144. I'll see you there. Shalom.